Okay, guys, so now the first thing I'm going to do before we start styling this form is to hook up the buttons that we had created earlier. And we are just going to do that by first going to Pages and getting our link, right? Because remember, we created this page for our new classifieds form. So I'm going to right-click View and say Copy Link Address. And then we've got 3 buttons actually that we need to go. And they're all, well, 2 of them live in the theme folder, 1 lives on the home page. So let's just get back into the landing page here. I'm just going to edit that, edit with a visual folder. All right, so the first button is this one right here. So we'll edit that and we'll just go to the link and we'll drop in our new classified. And you can even put that as just /new classified. That's just a slot basically for that form. And then I can go ahead and use the full front site editing and just edit the button that's at the top here. And again, we'll just drop that link in and just put /new-classified. Awesome. Cool. So that's 2 buttons taken care of. And we just have 1 more series of buttons to target, and that is on the archive pages that we have in the My Account area. So let's exit the visual builder now. We'll hop on the back end of our site again. All right, and we do that by going to those My Account areas that we need to add this. If you come over here, the new classified section on each of the, your lost and found, your free items, your for sale, and those are, of course, all endpoints created with machine accounts. So we go to all accounts, and then we'll just quickly go edit these. So first up is your for sale. And if I was probably a little bit smarter, I would have made this a global module or global section. And then that way I edit one, I edit all of them at the same time. But that is not what I did. So I need to do it the hard way. So that's all good. We will pay for our not smartness. So that's all good. So new classified, I'm going to save that. And then we'll just go back and do the other ones. And actually, I think we'll speed this up just because it's the same thing over and over. And I don't want to waste your time. All right, all done. So I'm going to refresh this page and just make sure that this is working. And then we'll get into the styling. So if I click on Create New Classified in my header, there we go. So we've got a little bit of work to do here. So let's get right into it. Now, first, we'll go ahead and enable the visual builder, of course, and that'll do its thinking thing. And great. Okay, so let's open up the settings for our form, bring that over here. And first, we're going to change all the global form settings just by going to the Forms Design tab instead of the individual fields. And when we need a little bit more work with the fields, we'll hop over to that side and do the final touches that we need to be done. So on design, the first thing we're going to work with here is the progress bar. Now, the progress bar active color, we like that to be orange. And then for the inactive color, we'll make it blue. There we go. And immediately that kind of takes effect. And that's already looking pretty nice. Cool. And you can, of course, use any colors you want. There's all that fun stuff. Now, moving on, we'll get down to the fields because those field background colors are not looking great. We just want to add a little bit of pizzazz over there. But before I do that, I want to hop back here quickly and let's just give this whole form area a background color of that gray. Perfect. So just the section background color. Cool. So hopping back in here, what we need to do now, actually, we can do this one of 2 ways. We can put a background color on the actual form itself, or we can put it on the row that it's in. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the row and just make that background color white. There we go. And then, of course, we need to add some padding, and then we'll add some border radius to it. So padding is, of course, on design and spacing. We're going to work with our 40 pixels all around. There we go. And then for the border, we'll put a border radius of 10 pixels for all of them. And then that is all we need to do here. And I think that looks much better already. So let's hop back into our form itself and head over to design. And then next, we'll tackle these fields. So the fields background color is going to be our grayish color, the same as the section background we just set. Fields color, text color is going to be the blue. The focus background color will be the same thing And same thing for the focus text color. We're not going to be adding any margin or anything like that, but we will make it light font. And we will, of course, then also bump this up to be 16 pixels in size. And that is really all we're going to need to do. Now, you're not seeing these changes happen live. I've obviously rehearsed this and I have my settings that I want to use, but that is probably a little bit better than going back and forth between looking at the form, coming back, looking at the form, coming back. So, but you can definitely do that as you wish. And yeah, so let's keep going. Next up, the form title. We, of course, know that this is going to be bold, and we are going to make it blue. And then I'm going to make the font 38 pixels, just as we've kind of done with most of the titles that we've been working with as we've been building. So create new classified, that is looking better. And we're getting a lot more feedback now. And I think it's starting to kind of come together, but we still need some spacing underneath this progress bar. So let's see how we do that. So let's close this up. And then let's find the spacing really quick. That's going to be right here. And now you see all these different options for spacing. We'll put some bottom margin here. Let's try 50 pixels. That bumps it down quite a bit. And I think that is actually pretty okay. We don't want it to be too far down, so it doesn't make sense anymore. And if you recall, we have those titles on the next steps that we'll see. So I think that's good on that. Now, another thing I just want to point out, of course, we kind of grouped all the settings together for you guys so that when you're looking for a spacing setting, you'll find all the spacing for all the different items down in this area. Same with the borders, and I'll show you that real quick. If you come into the borders, you can see the input borders, radius, and all that fun stuff, the whole form border width, and there's just a lot of different options here. So if you're looking for something that you feel like you should be able to find it somewhere, it's probably in the most obvious space. That is going to be good for now. We can look at the label text also. You see if we go thin, it will immediately make it thin. And then underneath that, we've got our category text. So maybe for the main label text, we are going to keep this semi-bold. No, we'll keep it regular actually. But what I want to do is make the size a bit larger. So let's go to 16. What type of post are you submitting? Maybe even 18. And then we are going to make it blue color, or is it gray? Now let's go with gray because we're going to make that font on the bottom a little bit lighter. And of course, if we have label text, we probably have field description text, which we do. We'll make that light. We'll make that our gray color. And then this one, I'll just make 16. There we go. Now, if we go to spacing, because you can see how these two are kind of like bunched up on top of each other. Remember, I said spacing or any type of setting that you're looking for will probably be in the most obvious place. Yeah, here we are. So maybe I can just add some padding on the bottom, let's say 25 pixels. So yeah, 25 pixels I think will be good. This one doesn't take effect immediately, but that's okay. We'll survive. And I think these are going to be the main settings that we need to set for now. Let's go ahead and go to our first category selection, because now what I want to do is create a more obvious indication which option you've selected, because right now it's not very clear, right? So for that, we are going to go to the design settings for this field. And then we've got radio checkbox image options. Here we can control the size of these, and 200 pixels will make them much larger if you wanted to do that. I'm going to do 120 as happiness for me. And then you can also make them the same height, but they are already because I used appropriately sized images. That's why that's so important. You get like funky things with layouts if you're using weird images, and especially when you talk about like featured images and stuff like that. For the actual fields, we've already gone ahead and styled all of that stuff on the main module, so we don't need to go change that unless we wanted to change something specific to this field. And the same goes for all the other ones. But now when things get a little bit more interesting is when we look at the radio checkbox active text and things like that. And contrary to what I think you're going to think I'm going to do, I am going to go add a border to these for each one when they're active. So when we open up the borders here, we can scroll down for input, upload, field borders, all sorts of borders for days. And then when you get a little bit further down, you get the radio checkbox image rounded corners, say that 5 times fast. And when you just go further, you get the active image rounded corners, and that's what we're after. So we're going to unlink these so that they are not going to change in unison. I'm going to add 10 pixels and 10 pixels over there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bottom border on here of, I don't know, let's say 3 pixels. And you can kind of see how it now has this little indication of which one you've selected. What I want to do, though, is make that orange. And that's looking pretty good to me so far. I'm pretty happy with that result. Okay, cool. So we're good with that. Now, we also do need to change some spacing here because these guys are right on top of each other. So let's go ahead and fix that by scrolling through all of our border options yet again. And then we'll just go to spacing. And now we can add some margin to any variety of options here. But probably what we want to do is add some right padding maybe. So let's go with 25 pixels. And you can see how they kind of spread out. But see how padding is the wrong option here because this border is adjusting its size as well. So that's the wrong option. What we'll use instead is maybe 50 pixels of margin. And there you go, all set. So now I'm happy with our first step. Let's save it and go see what we've done on the front end of our site. Let's exit the visual builder. And there we go. When I click on for sale, free stuff, lost and found, it is perfect. I'm pretty happy with the first step now. And we will go and check and see what the others have done and see what else needs to change. So let's click on next. And I can immediately see I still need to fix these buttons. But when I click here on bags for sale, you see how the spacing is so much better. And I've got like a dummy title in there. I need to go fix that. And then coming up here, we've got add the title. We've got all those backgrounds immediately is in there, have been added because we set them on a global level. We can see our input icons here. That's awesomeness. So let's just test title and let's just type some text. Let's just add one image and we'll put this at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll type in, where do we want to go? Let's go to London and then go next. And now here we can see everything is looking good also. So we'll just say person name, very original. And then we'll just type some text again. And then our test at test.com. Submit that, and bam, that worked. Let's make sure that it worked and go to my account. And there we are, test title. That's the one we just did. Awesomeness, guys. Now, next up, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fixing that ugly form submission notice just to have something a little bit more stylish and functional. So I'm going to catch you guys in that next lesson real soon.